Hello, everybody. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hey, hey everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hey Marcus, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, actually. A little bit tired, I have to admit, but I'm doing well. So, first question to the all the viewers: can you hear us in a proper quality? Sound is not too noisy or too much or whatever. Because last time there was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything is fine.
Yeah, if the chat could let us know, that would be really cool. And also we actually have a whole bunch of comments and questions I think we should probably dive into that people were contributing prior to us starting the stream, which is really great and we appreciate it. So some really cool comments and questions. I think we'll get to them.
Perfect. Yeah, let's just start with the first one. What do you think from Nukenin? He is saying, how is this even a question? We all know PlayStation 5 Pro is an absolute waste.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Well, look, man, I think you and I have very different opinions on this, which is cool. That's great. That's why I love these discussions, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If I didn't own a PS5, look, I would definitely consider it. For me, I just don't think it's worth the upgrade, considering I'm seeing PS5 Slim. Is it just digital ones? So you can pretty much pick up two PS5 Slims for the price of the Pro. So for me, I would be like, go get two. But yeah, I just don't think it's a big enough jump personally from what I've seen. I don't think they have the games right now. Look, if they had some awesome titles that were coming out that was specifically designed to, highlight the performance increase, I'd be like, man, get me excited. That's the thing. I wasn't excited. There was nothing to excite me, and I just saw the price tag, and I was just depressed.
Absolutely. So again, we have to. So first of all, I wouldn't say it's a complete or absolute waste, because that's depends on yourself. How you see it. I don't think it's an absolute waste. I'm not hyped about it. Okay, because it's, as you said, where are the games? What we're getting is actually, we're getting PlayStation 4 games now on the PlayStation 5 Pro. We're getting Formula 1 24 upgraded. I mean, I'm looking forward for all this stuff, because that's why I have a YouTube channel. I like to compare PlayStation with PlayStation 5 Pro and see in really, without looking on at YouTube videos from Digital Foundry, to see on my screen what is the difference. Is it really worse? And then, of course, make a video about this. And hey, I spent $1,200 for actually this little bit of an improvement, or I will come up with, oh my God, this is really fantastic. You know what I mean? Even we don't have brand new games. So I don't know it at this very moment. I agree, $1,200 without a disk drive here in Australia, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Something that I just can't get past is that even with the new PS5 Pro, we are still looking at 30 FPS titles. And for those of us who have televisions capable of 120 FPS, or even just TVs that have VRR, I just feel, how are we still living with 30 FPS titles coming up to 2025? I just don't, that doesn't make sense for me. That if they said 60 FPS was the new 30 FPS, man, I would have take my money. It's just they didn't do a big enough leap. So instead, it's, in my opinion, it's like the last generation when they went from PS4 to PS4 Pro. It was like, okay, we'll give you a resolution bump and we'll use some upscaling technology. Cool, bro.
I mean, they're going to use this PSSR, whatever, for upscaling and stuff like that. But so the problem is not the hardware in this case, because also the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 are more than capable of providing 60 FPS. But of course, if you have now an optic or graphical fidelity which can't display or can't provide 60 FPS anymore, that's a developer. That's a problem, that they want to have this fidelity. And I don't even know, fidelity is not the right word for me, because this is not fidelity anymore if you have just stuttering, So a 30 FPS mode with 4K resolution is for a photo mode, picture mode. You can even use then 10 frames per second to upgrade the graphical details, because it's a picture, but not for playing. I mean, we talked about this, or my opinion is very strong on that. 30 FPS is not good enough anymore. Full stop. I don't like it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let me ask you, have you ever, for example, because I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws at the moment, so they have the 30 FPS mode, 40 FPS mode, and then the performance 60 FPS mode. Have you
Yeah.
ever played a game for a whole day or more on the high frame rate version and then gone down to the 30 FPS version? For me, it becomes absolutely unplayable. So unless like that's all you know,
So
once you've seen
yeah.
60 above, it's impossible to go back.
No, especially on an OLED screen, because again, I mentioned this also in one of my videos. I connected for fun my PlayStation on a very old LCD screen, 4K LCD, 60 hertz, no VR, nothing, and I played 30 FPS games. And because of the pixel response time, there is no stuttering. It's very blurry, absolutely blurry, but it feels or it looks like it's smooth. Okay. When you now
Yeah.
go back to a big screen on OLED, it's just stuttering. But I played Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2, yes. Hellblade on the Xbox, 30 FPS game. It was Hellblade, yes. And I thought, okay, should I play it on the PC, 60 FPS? Okay, just start on the Xbox and just play.
Yeah.
It's a very slow paced game. Okay, so but even then I was like, oh my god, when you look around, the graphic is fine, you know what I mean? And then you move around and then it starts to stutter and whatever. Oh, it took me a really long time to get actually used to it. But then when I finished the game on the Xbox, and I said, okay, let's just start it up on the PC, up to 120 FPS. Oh my god, why did I do this? Why have I played this on the Xbox?
You feel like you wasted your time. And just to go back on one of the points you touched on, going to play on an older LCD TV, I know I'm pretty clear that Marcus is much more technical than I am with these kind of things, but isn't that due to the LCD's technology, the LCD technology, its inherent because of the pixel response, it's inherently blurry. It has like a smearing effect when you move quickly because the pixel response isn't as good as an OLED. So that's kind of why it smooths out the image.
That's how it is. So LCD has basically motion blur built in. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Full screen motion blur. That's how it is.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to do, and I mentioned this to you earlier, Marcus, is a few people have given us some feedback just about maybe trying to explain things because not everyone jumping in. Oh, cheers, man. This must be over 18 stream drinking alcohol.
I deserve this today.
Just a few people have given us comments to maybe try and explain a few things. So, not everyone's super technical, but cool. I think that was a very, very good opening question and statement. So let's go to the next one.
So we have Fireball 574. Depends what TV. If it's LED to OLED, then the TV is better upgrade. If you already own an OLED, then a Pro would be the better upgrade. I mean, that's basically what I'm thinking as well. So it's really up to the TV, of course. If you have an CX, even you have just an OLED, an LG CX, an upgrade for a TV, even you go to the G4, cost you a lot of money. Yes, you will see an upgrade, but is it worth to spend 4,000 or 5,000 Australian dollars for this upgrade? That's a big question mark. Okay, maybe in this case it's better to get a PlayStation 5 Pro. But if you come from a 10-year-old LCD screen, and but if you come from a 10-year-old LCD monitor or whatever, and you upgrade to a G4, that's a big step. Believe me, a big step. And then you can keep your PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good. We should kind of define the parameters of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think Marcus has exactly nailed it. If you have an OLED, then this is probably not really a debate. You've got the TV. I quite often see a lot of comments, people saying, "Oh, hey, I've got a CX or a C1, or a TV that's a year or two old, high-end TV, OLED," and they're asking, should I upgrade? Straight up, no. Look, Marcus may disagree with me on this, and that's cool. I'm always keen to hear what he has to say. I just personally believe once you've got an OLED, that thing can last you easy 4 or 5 years. And I'll give you the reason why I say this is because I have a C1. I purchased that back in 2021, and obviously if people haven't picked up on it, the number is the corresponding year: C1 21, C2 22, C3 23, and so on. So back in 2021, I got the C1, and this year one of my other TVs failed, so I got warranty on that, and I had a bunch of cash, so I thought, okay, I'll go and get the G4, not to replace the C1, but in an additional room. And look, the did I say G4, Marcus? I'm just making sure I'm not getting muddled up. But basically, I got warranty on another TV, and I went and purchased the LG G4. So now I have the C1 and the G4. And I will say the G4 is a better TV. Absolutely. It's brighter. There's a much better motion clarity. Like it's just a better TV. But would I sell my C1 to go and buy G4? No way. I don't think it is a big enough leap in order to sell a working TV to upgrade to something like that. So in other words, what I'm saying is, if you do have an OLED that's what would you say, less than 7 years old, I wouldn't even think about it. You've already got the TV. But if you are coming from an LCD TV or something that is a little bit older and is not an OLED, I don't think that if you get a PS5 Pro, you are wasting your money. You're not going to get anything more out of that image from that TV. You're much better off going and buying a TV that's going to give you a better image for what you already have.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. No, absolutely right. I mean, it really depends, and it's hard, of course, from our end to say what is a cheap or TV, or from what TV should you upgrade. So even an LG C9, which is basically the CX, it has actually, the C9 has actually a brighter panel, as far as I know, is still a fantastic TV. And of course, it depends really on you. If look, again, I can compare, or I compared heaps of TVs in my life. You know what I mean? But it's always a question about how much money you want to spend, or what is your hobby actually worth. If you have 10 grand per year to just put in your hobby or whatsoever, then upgrade your TV every year. It's really about that. But if the question now is really PlayStation 5 Pro or TV, and you have already a PlayStation 5, maybe it's worth to look at the TV, on a long run, because it's just the more important thing at this very moment, in my opinion.
Let me ask you a question, Marcus. So just touching on that last point I came up with. So you have the G2, right? And
Yes.
what's the other TV you have right now?
S95C and CX.
Okay, so the S95C, is that last year's QD OLED?
Yes.
Right. So going back to where I said I've got the C1 and the G4. If you had, now that you've had both of these, you've got a 2022 and a 2023 TV, right? So if you, knowing what you know, would you go, okay, you should upgrade from your G2 to the S95C? That's kind of what I'm saying. Do you think it's worth the upgrade, the money, if you've already got an OLED?
No,
Exactly.
not. To be honest, not.
Exactly.
Not. I mean, there is definitely a difference, and I use the S95C more often for gaming. If I game and not gaming for my YouTube channel, that means I'm not making videos, then I'm gaming on my S95C. I'm not using my G2, because the S95C is clearly the better TV. But should you upgrade just because of a little bit of a brighter picture? Or no, it's again about the money. If you're happy to spend 5 grand, yeah, go for it, because you will see a difference, but it's not as big as you maybe hope for. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, because it's depends on you as well. Someone likes to change their TV every year, then just go for it, but don't expect always heaps improvement.
Yeah. I guess just trying to get to the bottom of that. That was essentially my point. If you do have a modern OLED TV, then upgrading the TV is just silly. Obviously, if money's no object, then cool, why not? But relatively speaking, in a normal situation, I just don't think it's worth it. But I'm very anti PS5 Pro, but we'll get to that. If there's any other questions, Marcus, you want to highlight at the moment, or comments, we can
I think this one, is this a question code? I'm sorry, I can't, not today anymore, after 12 hours working. The best OLED TV for games like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and first-person shooters, and the best stable frame rate of 120, 144. Cheers.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm assuming that he's referring to PC if he's going up to 144 hertz.
Probably. I mean, yeah, probably. But I mean, look, if you're for the best TV, then the LG G4, A95L, Sony, and S95C. I still say S95C because I don't like the coding, the reflection on the S95D. I don't like it at all because it's terrible in my opinion. The S95C is much better. But again, it's up to you. Maybe you like the reflection handling on the S95D, but those are the TVs then. The best TVs what you can get. That's
so one thing I'll elaborate on is as I said earlier, I'm just trying to explain things a little bit better for those who are in the chat who are still kind of learning. So a lot of the modern OLED TVs go up to 120 hertz, 120 refresh rate. Some of the 2024 models are now, and even 2023s, are now starting to do 144 hertz. However, gaming consoles, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles max out at 120 hertz. So they cannot show any more frames than that. So if someone's saying, I want 144 hertz, you can only achieve that using a PC graphics card at this point in time.
Yeah. But I have to say that the jump from 120 to 144 is not as big as from 60 to 120. Believe me. So it's a nice to have feature. Yeah.
Of course.
I agree on that. Spartan, I would pick new TV because the PlayStation 6 is scheduled for 2027, 2028. That's a long time, you know this.
But where did you hear that? I haven't heard that.
Yeah. No, I don't know. So, but it's probably depending on or what we learned so far from expertise. You know what I mean? How the release date from new console is. You know, that's probably he might be right. You know, or she, whatever. So it's better off saving up for TV and PlayStation 6 is my personal opinion. Yes, you're absolutely fine. You know, if you have already a PlayStation 5 look, it's so hard to answer this question with a simple yes or no. It's not possible. If you love gaming, if you're into gaming, and you like to have the best of the best, then you have to get the best TV and you have to get the PlayStation 5 Pro. That's how it is. But if you're a casual gamer and you just like to have the best for your money, and again you have a crappy TV, then the TV is very important. You know, update this before you get a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah, there's 2 points I actually want to highlight there. So, for example, if you were in the Microsoft Xbox ecosystem and you had a Series S, I would then say you have to go and get a Series X, because let's just say, generally speaking, the PS5 and the Series X are on par in terms of performance and graphics, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the PS5 Pro is a slight jump up, and the Series S is a somewhat considerable step backwards. So I think if you're at that PS5 Pro Series X level, yeah, I just don't see the jump. And kind of thinking back to the PS4 days when they went from PS4 to PS4 Pro, I believe they had the PS4 Pro for quite a long time before they released the PS5. So when that previous comment was up referring to, it's going to be out in two years, the PS6, that's just rumors. You could be right, but they've just released the PS5 Pro. They need to make their money back on that console. So they're going to wait for things to get cheaper, for the chip manufacturers to do a die shrink so they can get the same performance for a cheaper rate and sell it for the same amount of price, and then obviously make money back. So in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I just don't see the PS6 coming out within 5 years, but we shall see.
I think we will see it in 5 years. I'm pretty sure about that. But it's still not close to the horizon. But yeah. But this comment here, gaming monitors will always be better than any TV generally, and now you can get OLED monitors. I fully disagree. Absolutely. Even the high-end gaming monitors, they don't have the same features as the TV. And I'm not even talking about the same maximum peak brightness and stuff like that. No.
Man, most people are buying 43-inch OLEDs TVs as their gaming displays now. Is it 43? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, 42, 43, I think.
42, sorry, my mistake. But yeah, like gaming monitors, man, most people I know who are playing On
So
PC,
now
they're just going getting OLEDs now.
a monitor is not as good as our TV generally.
Oh, look, if you want to
In
go
my opinion.
crazy FPS like 240 and things like that, then yeah, you have to go up to a gaming monitor.
That's a different. But yeah, but look, you can. So that's a thing. You know, you don't. We're talking about now the refresh rate. If we keep the refresh rate, you can have 5,000 FPS on any screen. You know, but then you have a little bit tearing and stuff like that. Okay, but that's not a thing. But in general, I haven't seen one gaming monitor who can keep up with my S95C or the G2. Not a single gaming monitor.
Marcus, would you mind, for those people who don't know what tearing is, would you mind just kind of giving a quick explanation?
So tearing is so when we're talking about tearing or how do you start actually? So
I'll put you on the
Vsync is
spot.
also So Vsync is so when you have, let's say, a refresh rate on a screen 120 hertz, and now your game is not stable 120 hertz. Let's say it's running with 80 FPS, let's say, and we wouldn't have a couple of features.
Can I stop you there, Marcus? I think it's important to differentiate between hertz and FPS, so people understand the TV runs at hertz and then the console runs at FPS. Just because I know people will kind of get them; they're not synonymous, those terms.
Yeah. So it's always the screen has refresh rate, and the output from the game console, whatever, is in FPS. Okay. So, and you have 80 FPS, and the screen has a fixed refresh rate from 120 hertz, let's say. So you would have, it's very complicated to explain, because we need to now talk about Vsync, VRR, stuff like that. Tearing in terms is if the screen is not having the same or is not can't work with the information what the console or PC is delivering, you have actually tearing. You know, you have one picture, the top picture is like this, and then you have, let's say you have a figure or whatever, or something like that. You know, you have this part here and the other part is here. It's teared apart because the information is not in sync. Okay, let's say like this. That's tearing. Okay, and there are so many different features in place to avoid that. That's a complete different video.
I might just try and jump in on that. So just to kind of elaborate further on what Marcus was explaining, it's so, for example, hertz and FPS are kind of the same, but they are two different things. So just to try and simplify it, and chat, feel free to jump in if you feel like we're getting it wrong. But for those people who are kind of new to this stuff, hertz is essentially the TV's refresh rate. Let's just say, to try and keep it simple, the TV's running at 60 hertz. So that means it is putting 60 images up on the screen every second. So then you have your console. If you can get a game running at 60 frames per second, what VRR and Vsync, those kind of things do is they try to make sure that when the TV puts a new picture up, the console also puts the picture up at the same time. What tearing is essentially when the TV puts a picture up and then the game console puts a picture up halfway through. So you kind of get half of the previous image and half of the new image. Is that making sense, Marcus? Or am I explaining that incorrectly? I'm just trying to simplify it. Obviously, it's much more technical than that. But essentially what you need to do with these more modern TVs is you get the TV refreshing at the same pace as the console. So as the console gets frame drops during intense times during the game when the graphics card is strained, the TV using a variable refresh rate will actually drop down to maintain a synchronization with the console's frame rate. When they are out of sync, that's when you get, as I said, a half a picture of the previous frame and a picture of the new frame, and you get this kind of like tearing look across the screen. So hopefully that makes sense.
It's
very
you know,
complicated.
It's a Vsync VRR thing and whatever. You know, it's just, thanks God we don't have this issue anymore. Anyway, but we have already so many comments. I don't know where we are. But again, I'm not agreeing that we have that monitors are better. Definitely not. This one here. Here's his take on PlayStation 5 Pro. Why? Because he already got something with PlayStation 5. But or why question mark. So it doesn't want to get it because you already got something with PlayStation 5, but PlayStation 6 will be completely new generation technology. So he's against PlayStation 5 Pro. That's how I read it. But again, PlayStation 6, don't get me wrong, they're already developing PlayStation 6. No worries, they're already working on it. But when now we're getting PlayStation 5 Pro. In the next couple of years, we will not see anything in regards of PlayStation 6. That's how it is. Oh, sorry. Hello, buddy.
Good evening. Yeah, so some next questions. We have quite a lot of comments and questions this evening, which is really cool.
A lot. Yeah. If you have an old monitor or TV, especially an LCD display, then buying an OLED would create a huge leap in how you experience gaming and movie watching. Absolutely. And I just put in one of my bedroom my old LCD screen, and yesterday, I went to bed and just turned it on and no light and whatever, and I was like, no, I can't watch like this backlight bleeding and stuff like that. It's just it's crazy, but yeah, spoiled. We're spoiled, absolutely. But I bought this TV when I moved to Australia, and it's working still fine, but it's bad compared to my OLED TVs, and you're right, maybe we are spoiled, but if you have, if your experience was something and you like it, why would you go back? Yeah. Why should I go back to LCD if I know how good OLED is? But
another thing too, if you're thinking about upgrading your TV, I will say one thing. If you have an LCD TV and you want to get a really large screen, such as like 85 or even 100 and above, don't go anywhere near OLED, because once you go OLED, it kind of does spoil you for anything else. I had an 85-inch Neo QLED. It was an 8K panel. And when that failed, I went to my G4, and it was so hard to make that call because I was actually going down a few inches in size, 85 to 83. But it's just, once you've had time in your own home with OLED, it's impossible to just, there's nothing that can beat it. So it's very hard, because I have had conversations with people who maybe haven't had hands-on with OLED and don't really understand. And it's like, we're saying it's night and day. It literally is night and day. Once you have an OLED, you, like Marcus just said, you might sound silly, but it's absolutely true. Like, obviously you can still watch a movie on it. It's fine.
Of course.
But
you just don't want to.
Well said.
No. But look, I have to, of course, we need to understand a thing here as well. So people preferring LCD also because of the maximum peak brightness or the overall average brightness of the screen, because LCD can be much brighter than OLED. And if you're now, let's say, someone who is, let's say you're working night shifts, you know what I mean, and you have actually no chance to watch TV during the night, so you or in a dark environment, you just watch all the time when there is daylight, then most likely you will say, hey, OLED TV is not good enough for me, I need something brighter. So I understand that, but I would never recommend LCD to someone, to be honest.
I feel like a lot of these things now are becoming kind of like old wives' tales. When you speak to someone about an OLED, you quite often have to say, oh, you've got to be in a light-controlled environment and burn in and this and that. I feel like with any 2024 and beyond TV, I feel like those arguments don't exist anymore. Burn-in isn't really an issue anymore. And
burn-in, don't worry about burn-in.
Yeah, and OLEDs are getting so bright, they're catching up to, I wouldn't say they're beating LCD TVs. LCD TVs are always going to be brighter, but at least for now. They are just getting so bright. You can run them in bright rooms, any modern one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go with
That's
Henry.
Fine. Henry, I don't have and want a PC, have an LG OLED C1. Perfect. For me, it's worse. It's because I play 20, 40 hours each week on my console. So are you not working? No, I'm just kidding. But hey, that's exactly what you're talking about. He loves playing games. He has an OLED C1 already, which is a fantastic TV. The Pro is for him, if he loves to play games, the next step. Why not? Absolutely understand.
It's interesting. Like, that kind of inspired just a thought in my mind. it's, for example, say you've got an OLED like a C8 or a C9 from 5-6 years ago. I still think those OLEDs, aside from some brightness issues, would be better than a lot of high-end modern mini LED TVs. That's the issue. Once you go OLED, that's kind of what we're saying, is you can get a 6-year-old, 7-year-old OLED. It's still going to look better, in my opinion, to a 2024 mini LED.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So the thing is, it's not about just brightness or stuff like, or better contrast. It's also about the picture clarity. And then of course we're talking about, we need to have 60 FPS at least, because otherwise you're probably better off with an LCD screen. But as soon you experienced 120 hertz or 144 hertz on the S95C, the picture clarity, wow, it is so sharp. It's unbelievable, and you can't get this with an LCD screen.
Yeah, and again, I think a few other things I want to touch on, and this is more for our beginners. So as I said, guys, forgive me if I'm rehashing things that you already know. It's also OLED's pixel response time. So that's, maybe you can cover this a bit better, Marcus, like just to explain, because as I said, I've had quite a lot of comments of people saying, hey, can you explain a bit more of the fundamentals and how things work? So with OLEDs, we have that almost instantaneous pixel response time. So when you're moving around on the screen, things are updating essentially as you go. With LCD, they don't have that response time, so you get smearing. Am I explaining that correctly, Marcus? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, again, so I would say that every LCD screen has motion blur built in. So OLED screen is not perfect in terms of smearing or trails or whatever, phosphorescence, not phosphorescence, in terms of, I wouldn't say it's not ghosting, but something like that. They're not perfect, don't get me wrong, but they are, of course, much, much, much better than LCD screens. So that's what I experienced, and that's the thing. So again, I bought this 7-year-old LCD screen when I moved to Australia. 50-inch LCD, and I played PlayStation 4 games, most of the time 30 FPS, because that's what it is. And then I bought my LG CX, and I was blown away. And I put my PlayStation 4 on, loaded up God of War, loaded my save game, started playing, and saying, what the hell is wrong here? It was 30 FPS, and I said, I can't play this. I can't. This is just stuttering. And then I started comparing, and I said, OLED is not bad. It's just it's too good for 30 FPS. That's the problem.
Yeah. One thing I've always said for people to try is go and get some content that you're familiar with, whether it's a movie or a game. Say something you played on the 360, PS3, something old school that back to front, like a game that you spent, 100 hours on. And then if you can get that game, that, say, perhaps what I'm insinuating is that you played on an older LCD several years ago. If you can get that same console and plug it into an OLED, it'll look like you get a graphical upgrade. That's how good the display is. So that's kind of why I'm saying, if you don't have an OLED, I would argue you would get a much better fidelity and visual improvement getting an OLED than getting a PS5 Pro. And that's how I would prove it to people, or watching some video content that you're very familiar with. Even watching old shows like Seinfeld and things like that, or SD content, they just look so much better on that kind of a display. So it's
absolutely
just to help you see what we're trying to get across here.
So Eric, going from 30 to 60 FPS in fidelity mode is a big upgrade in my opinion. Yes, like what more can you expect from $700? I mean, it's basically like you're upgrading your GPU. It's nothing else. You're upgrading your GPU, and now you get more, or you get the same frames, but with a higher fidelity. That's basically what it is. And I hope that we, of course, see. So what I hope in most of the games, as you described here, we're going from 30 to 60 FPS, but we have the graphical quality from the 30 FPS. And then we can call it actually fidelity mode, because then we have 60 FPS on top. This is what I'm looking forward. Let's see how it turns out when I can see it in real on the TV.
Is that what PS5 Pro is advertising? The new fidelity mode will be 60 FPS? Because I didn't hear any of that.
Now, of course, so this was what is what was advertised in the announcement, and of course a lot of
Right.
ray tracing and stuff like that. I couldn't care less about ray tracing. I know it looks fantastic in games like Alan Wake 2, and I don't want to play without it, but I have a 4080 for this, okay? And even
Yeah.
with 4080, or even you have a 4090 for this game, you can't max everything out, because
Yeah.
you can, but then you play 30 FPS. So but yeah, so this is what advertised is, going from the 30 FPS, just increase to 60 and have the same graphical quality. PlayStation 5 Pro is the 60 FPS machine we wanted. Majority of games are GPU limited, not CPU. That's correct. And as thus, we are getting PlayStation 5 quality option at 60 FPS instead of 30. I hope this is going to happen, because I can already see that they putting all the ray tracing effects in this and this and this, and then we ending up again with 30 FPS. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's my main frustration, is because you go back a generation, we go to PS4, Xbox One, we go back a generation, PS3, Xbox 360, we go back again. We were getting 30 FPS. We have been getting 30 FPS since I was alive. That's why I'm frustrated. Like, now the TVs have caught up and are now in front, and consoles aren't keeping up. That's why I refuse to buy this PS5 Pro. We have TVs that are doing 144 hertz, can support 144 frames per second. And this next gen PS5 Pro, whatever you want to call it, is still going to run 30 FPS games. What is happening? That's how I feel.
I don't know. So this so Chasko brings up a very good example. Rise of Ronin runs like I wouldn't say like crap, but it doesn't run nice on the PlayStation 5 Pro. It has PlayStation 5. It has not just an issue with frame rate, it also has an issue with frame times and frame pacing and stuff like that. So the question, even we have a PlayStation 5 Pro, if there is a bad coding or bad programming, it will not run better on the PlayStation 5 Pro because of the frame times, frame pacing. But I'm looking forward for games like that actually to see if they're improving stuff for the PlayStation 5 Pro. But then, of course, the question would be if it's just a frame time, frame pacing issue, because we have 60 FPS, but we have very bad frame times, then it's possible on the PlayStation 5 as well.
Do you want to elaborate just quickly on that too, Marcus? So for people who don't know what frame pacing is?
So let's say frame times. Okay, so you have 60 FPS, and then usually every frame needs to be updated in a certain time, 16.333 milliseconds for 60 FPS. Okay.
Yeah, 60 divided by 60 seconds, isn't it? No, sorry, that doesn't make sense. But what is the frame
by whatever, I forgot. by the FPS, yeah. So, but you have to have a certain. So, and this frame needs to be updated in this time to have a perfect frame time. So frame time is nothing else. If you have a little bit of a delay, you have stuttering. Even you have stable 60 FPS, but because the frame doesn't come to the right time, you will have stuttering. And this is what is happening in Rise of Ronin. You can turn on your variable refresh rate. You can turn everything what you want. It will not be better because of the unsynced frames. Okay, let's call it like this. It's very hard to explain without showing actually stuff, whatever. But that frame times is actually almost more important than frames, to be very honest. So stable frames is always important, but if you don't have proper frame times, that it just
well, in order to get a stable frame rate, the graphics cards needs to produce a frame in a consistent time period. So, whether it's a frame every 16 milliseconds, it needs to produce that frame in a very specific order. Frame pacing is if the graphics card is struggling and it's not producing the frame in time, then the TV will update without the frame ready to go. Hopefully that simplifies it.
Yeah, I agree with Christy. I need to change my wording about this, because it's not stuttering. You're right, it's shuddering. But because I'm still learning English, for me it's stuttering. It's much easier because then I know what I'm talking about. But he's right, it's shuddering. It's not stuttering. Stuttering is this occasional hitching. It's shuddering. But at the end, it's annoying. Okay, let's
Yeah,
let's say it.
I didn't want to say anything. It's pretty embarrassing. Sorry.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
that was a joke,
obviously.
by the way. That was a joke.
I know. Okay, that's it. No more live streams. Hero Down Under. Hey, that's here, close to us, probably.
What's up, man? What's up?
I've got product care extended warranty on my S95B till 2026. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how to utilize that to upgrade. I don't know either.
Yeah. Look, I can touch
Probably
on that. Obviously, it depends if your TV has an issue or not. For example, I've got a 83-inch C1. Last live stream, I posted a few images on it. It's got 322 hours, which is nothing for a 2021 year TV, and I'm already getting dead pixels everywhere. I have the extended warranty. I think it's till 2027. So I'm actually not going to go and get that TV replaced yet. I'm going to continue using it. It's still a great TV. In a sense, because I have the extended warranty, I'm kind of happy because I did pay top dollar when that TV came out. So when I choose to warranty that TV in 2027, I hope that they won't have any C1 panels sitting around and they will just give me a refund, because that's what's happened in the past. And then I can use that TV to buy my upgrade. So if you have that, hopefully you fingers crossed your TV breaks. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So that's for you from Eric.
Eric, so Adam, you said the motion clarity is better on the C4 than the C1. Do you mean in-game optimizer mode or with true motion enabled? Sorry if I said C4. I meant to say G4. I was getting a bit muddled up. I find just in general, the whole TV, this is where I was saying about the upgrade. It's like, once you go to a C1, like the jump from an LCD to a C1 is there. The jump from a C1 to a G4 is like there, and every year it's like these little incremental things, and it's things that you won't notice until you've spent a couple of hundred hours on a TV. That's why I'm saying if you watch content or play games you're very familiar with, when you upgrade the TV, you will know exactly what you are now seeing that you were not before. So, a lot of people don't like using true motion. Are you a fan of that, Marcus?
Not on the LG.
So I use cinematic movement when I'm watching my content, and I can't go back because the pixel response time is so quick on OLEDs. I really notice it with my vision. I see the juddering, like I can see the individual frames coming up. So for me, I use cinematic movement, but I don't really use anything in game mode. I just straight up don't use any of that stuff.
So Mr. Walker is asking, are the Hisense U8N AU and TCL 855 mini LED good gaming options in Australia? And any thoughts on these models? I don't know, to be very honest, because so what I would do is put those in Google, the models, and just look for reviews, and especially from sites from Artings. Okay, Artings. I put this in the comment section, because artings.com, they're doing a lot of testing. Okay, so they're focusing, unfortunately, also more on the high-end models. I'm not sure if this is high-end for Hisense and TCL. Not quite sure. And then what you should look for is not necessarily best HDR picture, whatever. So if you're looking for gaming option on an affordable TV, I would look for input lag, something like that. So because this is more important than to have a average HDR picture, to be honest. Input lag, the lower the better.
Look, with those kind of TVs, just due to the panel technology, you're always going to get, it's called smearing. If you look up LCD smearing, you can probably find a bunch of videos of it online. If you care to look, I created a video on my channel, the Hisense U9G. I think it was 2 years ago. It was the flagship mini LED from Hisense, and it was absolute garbage. It was, man.
Yeah.
And look, go check out the video. You'll see it. Like that was the flagship, like top of the line, the King 4K mini LED for the year. And it sucked in every way. The blooming, the off-angle viewing, gaming, it only had partial HDMI 2.1 support, and that's something I'm noticing with a lot of these TVs. I'm just looking here on another tab. The U8 NAU does have full HDMI 2.1, 144 hertz. So, look, it may be a better TV, but look, mini LED TVs generally, correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, when you go into game mode, you're not relying on the backlights anymore. You're relying on the what is it? The native what's the darkness of the panel? I've forgotten the word now. You know, the different panel, IPS and
the 18 and whatever.
Yeah, so basically, most of the mini LED TVs, once you go into game mode, the backlights are turned off, so you're not going to get those super rich, especially running at 120 hertz.
So what happens with some LCD or most of them? So the dynamic backlight or whatever you want to call it. What is I forgot the name as well. You know, we know what we're talking about
today. I can't think.
It was a very long day today for me, really. I got up at 4 today. And anyway, so the backlight, okay? So usually you have backlight zones, dimming zones, okay? So dimming zones, here we are. So, and in game mode, because of the input lag, some of the TVs disabling the dimming zones completely, and you don't have dimming anymore. You have you have one dimming zone, okay? So you have
native contrast. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The native
so you
contrast of the panel.
So, and this, of course, then gives you a very bad picture. Absolutely terrible. So, and I had the QN95B back then. So the flagship from Samsung.
Yeah, that's no joke, that TV. That's a good TV too.
Absolutely. It was good, but again, I had my CX next to it, and I didn't like the QN95B because of the backlight. So even with movies and stuff like that, it was not nice to watch, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm talking from a very high level already. That's the problem. So we are very spoiled. But you see things like subtitles, you know, on the LG OLED TV, there is no backlight bleeding at all. And then you watch this on a QN95B, which is very expensive and has 720 dimming zones or whatever. And you have this halo effects, you know, and it's bar. And in gaming mode, it's even less because of the input lag. They try to make, of course, your input as fast as possible. So it's even worse. So I would, if you're gaming, I mean, again, I'm not recommending LCD anyway.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just quickly to touch on that. Again, I'm trying to simplify a few things for some of our new listeners who aren't like super up to date with all this kind of stuff. But LCD TVs have a whole bunch of backlights behind them, and essentially what they do to achieve a deeper contrast and blacker blacks is they turn off the dimming zones when there's no picture in front of it. And so obviously when there's moving objects, the dimming zones have to turn off and on. However, when you switch into game mode and the TV is refreshing at 120 FPS, a lot of the time the dimming zones can't keep up. So they just turn them all on, and you lose a lot of those black levels and that contrast that you will just get with an OLED. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. So Ben Tech Gamer is asking, I personally think PlayStation 5 Pro release is a good decision from Sony, because even if you skip PlayStation 5 Pro and go to PlayStation 6, you will get PS5 Pro upgraded through, of course. But that's what PlayStation is doing since, or not since, but this was with the PlayStation 4 anyway, you know? And I agree. It's a good thing anyway. For us gamers, it's always good to have new stuff, you know what I mean? So.
Look, yeah, if you're a PS guy, like, I think it's a great thing. I have a PlayStation 5. I barely play it, but I just can't believe how much they're charging for it. If it was a PS6, sign me up. But yeah, anyway.
I know, but
yeah.
It's, So Mr. Walker, S90C ready for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Great TV. No doubt about that. You don't need to upgrade in the next years. No way.
Yeah.
No.
So here's one.
Yep.
From Billy. I have an LG C10 and still love it. If I was going to upgrade to another TV, though, mainly for console gaming, would you recommend anything? No. unless your C10 is failing. Like, look, if you've got a PS5 and you're thinking about going to a PS5 Pro and that's your thing, do it. Your C10 is good enough. It does 4K 120. It's an OLED, so that's straight off the bat. The only thing you're going to get is just a little bit of brightness increase. If you're in a bright room and it's something that has been bothering you, then okay, worth a consideration. But man, a C10 will still scream. Like I've seen C10s. I have a C1. I can't really tell the difference. The only thing I can tell is the user interface is different, in my opinion. So my answer is no. Marcus?
No, I mean, I have the CX and I tested it next to the S95C. I would never go back to the CX if I have the chance. But the CX on its own is a fantastic TV. Absolutely. That the problem is always don't start comparing, because you will see something better. The CX is already 4 or 5 years old, or something like that.
Still a good
So
TV.
it is, but it is from a technical point of view, it's old, but it's still great, and again, is it worth now to spend, I don't know where you are, but here in Australia for a 65-inch G4 I need to spend $5,200. Is it now worth this upgrade? Wow, I don't know. So to be honest, that's a lot of money for a little bit of a brighter picture, to be very honest.
Yeah. Just quickly, this is a great comment from Mr. Walker. The PS5 came 4 years after the PS4 Pro. If anyone in the chat can let us know how many years when the PS4. So hang on, the PS4. How many years was it between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro? So obviously now the comment that was going on about the PS6. So let's just say, okay, the PS6 will come out in 4 years' time. I think that's fine. I think the PS5 still does more than enough for another 4 years of gameplay. Mr. Walker, question. Would you agree the PS5 Pro would be a better sell for larger TVs? I find performance mode a little soft on a 77-inch TV. Marcus, you want to start with that one?
I mean, so one of the target for the PlayStation 5 Pro is that we're getting the Fidelity or the old 30 FPS Fidelity mode now with 60 FPS. So you would actually get a higher resolution and more details and probably less shimmering or stuff like that. So yes, it is probably a better choice for a big TV to mitigate all the fine issues what you have with a lower resolution, stuff like that. If this comes as promised, you know what I mean? So yes.
But wouldn't the native resolution still be 4K? It would just mean there would be because where it does upscaling to 4K, it would just upscale from a slightly higher resolution up to 4K.
Yeah, but you always need to have a better source to get a better picture. It's always 4K. Regardless what you have, unless you have a native 4K picture coming, the TV will always upscale, always. Okay, and the upscaler nowadays, I don't think there's any difference in any TV brand or high-end TVs, and even the low-end TVs, they're using the same chips probably nowadays. There's no difference anymore, in my opinion, not visible. But if you have already, let's say, if you come from a 1440p resolution, of course it's easier or better than just let's say 900p. Resolution.
I will say, from my just own eyes, I feel like going from 1080p to 1440p is a really big jump. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I go from HD to 1440p, for me, that's quite a noticeable increase in resolution for me. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a 1440p resolution. If they can upscale from 1440p to 4K, that's pretty damn good. If that means I'm getting 60 FPS, I'm happy with that all day.
Absolutely.
Oh man, we got quite a lot of questions.
SFK, hey, how are you doing? Don't know. In absolute darkness, my eyes hurt something from my LG CX. Yeah, I know. That's the old topic what we had, what I brought up. It's in one of I don't know when, but I said, at what point is a TV too bright? Question mark. Because you're right. At some point. So I can just because we said so. The CX is not bright enough for HDR. Well, it's for me right now the bare minimum. Okay, what I would recommend. So now the problem, of course, is what is the maximum brightness what we can have, because just imagine you drive your car in the early morning and you go over a hill and whatever, and there's suddenly the sunrise. This is, I don't know, 100,000 of nits. Okay, so no TV can actually produce this brightness what you can see in real life. Okay, so but we have already TVs where you have, when you have watching a movie like that, your eyes are hurting because you come from a very dark part, let's say, and suddenly you have this big light in your face. It's not nice. I agree with you, but where does it stop? I don't know, really. OLED hat so viele Detailverluste im dunklen Bereich. So he's writing that OLED has some issues with shadow detail. Not necessarily worse than LCDs, to be honest. It really depends how the calibration is in the shadow or in the gamma, on the lower gamma end, to be honest. Prost, Junge. Ja, Prost.
Joshko Demirovic, Kakosi.
He speaks German.
Ah,
well, good. So we can speak German. I don't mind. we can.
Cool.
So burn is definitely an issue if you use your OLED as a monitor. Okay. Well, so we need to be valid point. Okay, 24/7 or whatever. If you use the same content for 24/7, of course, it is an issue. But I have also seen LCD screens used for production. They have also burn in. Of course, it will happen on the OLED screens much faster. But you really think that they nowadays, they're selling more and more OLED screens where you have always the task, you have always the same icon on the screen or whatever. You really think that they don't know what they're doing, to avoid major lawsuits or whatsoever. We are pretty safe, But I agree, don't play 24/7 Fortnite. That's
well, a lot of these OLED manufacturers insert algorithms into their TV to understand any kind of static element that is on the TV for a long time, and they will just dim those particular pixels there. So there's a lot of technology that TV brands have implemented these days to just mitigate burn-in. But that being said, I have two C1s. One of the panels failed after 3 years. They just replaced it. It wasn't even under warranty or anything like that. But that's these days I'm finding they're generally pretty good with looking after any faulty OLEDs. It's not really an issue, and I think people should have the confidence to go and purchase one now.
Yeah, no, not you shouldn't avoid OLED just because you're afraid of burn-in. No, you miss out heaps a lot. Don't do this.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm using my OLED. I don't know how long I used my CX actually as PC monitor. I don't know until I replaced it with the G2, and the G2 is I mean, you have a screensaver on, and of course, and stuff like that. You not let it run like an LCD screen, okay? You do a little bit maintaining in the background, but that's it. Usually, when I'm doing my editing of the videos or whatever, 2 hours the same picture, and it's always, when I'm editing a video, it's the same picture in the same place. You know what I mean? So, and I have no problems at all. No problems.
Right.
What is this here? Jay Ritter. I just took a 2-week holiday with the family and took the PlayStation 5, played on 5 terrible Airbnb TVs, and now back on my 98. It's just like, holy shit, did I miss this TV? It's just night and day. Yeah. Oh my God. Especially, I remember this when you go to hotels and you turn something on and it just turn it off again because, my phone is better. It's just crazy. Yeah. But why are you taking your PlayStation actually on holiday with the family?
That's cool, man. Respect. But that's really cool. That's exactly what I've been saying is you should take something you're very familiar with, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or a game that and you plug it into a better TV or a worse TV, and you can start actually comparing and seeing what the differences are. You need to see it for yourself. We could talk about it all day, but because quite a lot of people will say to me, hey man, why would I go spend 9,000 Australian dollars on an 83-inch G4 when I can spend 2,500 and get an 85-inch TCL or Hisense? It's a good point. It's a very good point. I could buy 3 or 4, big screen TVs for the price of an OLED.
I just saw my dream car today, the Audi S4, the newer version. And I was in my Kia and I said, hey, I can buy 3 Kias for this car. It's always, I like my Kia.
But that's a good analogy. It's luxury, man. You can get into a Toyota, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with a Toyota. I've had Toyotas before. Or you can get in a Mercedes, and it still gets you to A to B, but I guarantee you'll probably enjoy it a bit better.
The same with TVs,
Exactly.
So here, Eric, so I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would like to see this in real, okay? Because I don't believe it, okay? Marcus, you said that you can't get the S95C 120 FPS motion clarity on an LCD. You actually can, because 60 FPS on my old Anderson LCD looks like 120 FPS on the LG C1. So we have here three components. So first of all, the S95C 120 FPS motion clarity, which is also the 60. So you play a 60 FPS game, you put Game Motion Plus on, and you have, I think it's 120, or Ariel actually think it's even 144 at this very moment on the S95C, but doesn't matter. And then you have 60 FPS in old Anderson, and you say it looks 120 FPS on the LG C1 without any motion clarity. So I guarantee you that the S95C 60 FPS Game Motion Plus will beat your LCD any time and day. I guarantee it's not possible that you get the same clarity from an LCD screen. It is not possible. So it might look really, really sharp and stuff like that, but then compare with the S95C. I would love to see this actually in real. Really, I would like to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, one of those things, if you put an OLED, if you actually put those two side by side, I think you would see the difference. And this, again, this is just coming back to the inherent properties of that liquid crystal display pixel response time. So as I said, Marcus, I'm trying to dumb down a few things for our new listeners, but that's when you're referring to motion clarity, you're specifically referring to black frame insertion, correct?
No. Motion clarity in general. So it's so black frame BFI is a complete different story again.
Gotcha.
So I'm talking in general motion clarity in the normal gaming mode. First of all, here is OLED already better than any LCD screen, in my opinion. But then on top, on the S95C, we have Game Motion Plus, which is, in my opinion, after I tested, and I have the TVs here, I can test this any day, is superior over the True Motion from LG. Full stop. Because you have no increased input lag, and the picture looks very, very sharp. So True Motion on the LG is slightly sharper. I agree on that, but it's not playable. It's not usable. Okay. And I have seen LCD screens, a lot of LCD screens in live, and I had the QN95B, and this TV had also the Game Motion Plus functionality. But even then, 120 Hertz on my CX was sharper than the QN95B. That's how I experienced it. Okay. That's why I say an old LCD screen, I don't think it can compete at all. No. We have a super chat. Thank you very much, Manu 5. Manu 5.
Thank you, Manu. Thank you very much.
I have the Ultra Gear 45 Sol OLED curved gaming monitor, 0.05 milliseconds, 240 Hertz, WQHD resolution, HDR10, but the price is too high for the quality. HDR is very bad and SDR is very dark. What is your opinion? That comes back to gaming monitor. I don't like gaming monitor, so I'm not quite sure about this model, but so far I haven't seen a proper HDR gaming monitor. So even the Alienware has just a proper HDR when you use the HDR 400 mode. So in the HDR 1000 mode, I think it's not even capable of having a 10% window with 1000 nits. The G2 is more than capable of doing that, 950 nits, okay? So that's a big difference if you have a 10% window or just a 1% window with 1000 nits, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Yes, and then on the other hand, compared to the screen size, the price is too much, in my opinion. That's my take. And then you're missing out missing out the features, like you can't install any Netflix, you can't watch this, and you can't, most of the time, you can't change your picture settings in HDR. Not sure about this, but all the screens what I tested so far, as soon you change it into the HDR picture mode, you completely grayed out or locked out of any picture set, which is a very bad thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for super chat.
Thank you.
So again,
sorry, Fred, there's a bit of a delay. There's quite a lot of comments, so we just try to go through and pick some good questions and comments. And guys, keep them coming. If you have anything that you disagree with us or you have any questions, just chuck them in the comments.
I have to bring up this. I will. So thank you very much. So he is referring to Tony. I don't know if you know Tony. I'm using Tony sometimes as my background voice. He's
I've
not
heard
real,
Tony.
okay? I am Tony, okay? So just to make this clear, now everybody is shocked. Oh my God, I shouldn't have said this, but no, you get my point. It's no, but people are not stupid. Come on, they know what's going on. But I'm using Tony. You know, he's absolutely against HDR. He's an idiot. But he's writing. He has not even a console or TV. Tony has nothing. He's absolutely.
Hey,
I don't
Marcus,
know why he's working for me.
This one's in German. I'm curious because it's got Star Wars in it. Can you read this one out for me, please?
Star Wars Survivors is a very good example what the PlayStation 5 Pro can do in terms of picture quality and 60 FPS. I haven't seen a comparison. Is Star Wars Survivors also PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced? I haven't seen this. I was not sure about that, to be very honest. But yeah, so if you like to see on the real, I wouldn't say power, but the improvement what the PlayStation 5 Pro can do, it's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Was it Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth or 16? Or I can't remember. But one of the games, I think it was Final Fantasy Rebirth, yeah. Very blurry picture on a PlayStation 5 Pro because of what are they using, TLAA or whatever, or the upscaling. It's very, very blurry. And PlayStation 5 Pro next to it, sharp, absolutely super sharp. And this is what I'm looking forward to, you know, to have a proper picture for my screen.
So, Marcus, I haven't really been following the Pro very closely, but did they indicate that any Pro improvements need to be coded in like via a software patch? Otherwise, they just run the same as a PS5.
So that's so in regards of the pure performance, I don't think they need to do. So that's what so usually when you're, so let's take the PC for an example. You play a game and you have between 40, 60 FPS. So now you upgrade your GPU. You don't change anything on your settings. You will have suddenly a higher frame rate, okay? I'm not quite sure.
That's if your frame rate's unlocked, though, right?
Yeah.
Because consoles try to lock a frame rate, so that doesn't work.
So that's the thing. So I would guess, because we're still talking about dynamic resolution on consoles and whatsoever, sometimes you fall below 60 FPS because the GPU is just not powerful enough. I would guess that those games will improve already from the PlayStation 5 Pro because the GPU is faster, but they can actually also program it like it that it's just using a certain frequency, okay, not using any improvements or not anything above, you know.
Right. This is just my thoughts, and I could be completely wrong. I think PlayStation are probably going to be a little bit lazy with this. I think they're kind of relying on the individual game developers to implement a patch to truly take advantage of the Pro's increased performance. I think just off the bat with any patches, and again, this is just me assuming, the internal resolution that they upscale from will probably just get a bump, because generally speaking, that's most of the time that's just unlocked, right? So like as you move around in games, you look at a big open space, the resolution might drop to maintain a frame rate. You look at the ground or the wall really up close and things look a bit better. So maybe just the internal resolution might have a higher standard that upscales to 4K. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so. For example, I think The Last of Us, the Fidelity mode on the PlayStation 5 or the remaster edition, what we had was already 4K. I think native 4K. So now we're getting this mode in 60 FPS. So that means we have native 4K with 60 FPS. Okay, and this is what I'm looking forward to it. Okay, because again, 4K is fine, but I don't like playing in 30 FPS.
Yeah. This one's from SFK F Jordan. So the question is, wouldn't you say that 120 hertz and 40 FPS games should be standard by now? The reason why the market continues to stick to 30 and 60 is that too few customers have a 120 hertz TV. Marcus.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know how hard it is actually to code different picture modes in a game. I would guess at some point we should be on a. So first of all, if there is an Unreal Engine game, then there shouldn't be no excuse at all not to have different picture modes or like a 40 FPS mode, because as far as I understand, it's just a library. You put this in and it's done. Maybe too simple, but that's how it is. If you have a in-game or house intern engine or whatsoever, then I have also no excuse for this, because if we have now the Frostbite engine or whatsoever, they can put this in their engine and use this for any other game. So why we don't have a 40 FPS mode? Even the TV doesn't support 120 hertz. So it should be in full stop, in my opinion. But
to me, look, in terms of your first statement, wouldn't I agree that 120 and 40 FPS should be standard by now? Absolutely, that's something it's always really frustrated me. But in terms of your second part, like why the market continues to stick to 30 and 60 is because too few consumers have 120 hertz refresh rate TV. I would tend to agree with that, because even a lot of old basic HDMI 2.0 TVs all generally have 60 hertz displays. So for me, I think you can go
60
back.
hertz is around since ages, decades.
That's what I mean. So why wouldn't the standard be 60 hertz? And that's what I'm pushing for, 60 FPS rather. That just, to me, that doesn't make sense. 60 FPS. Like, you look at PCs, man, they are smoking us console gamers. It's embarrassing. You get a console and you're like, oh, check this out, man. I've got a really cool game. Look how good it looks on my OLED on my PlayStation 5 and it runs at 30 FPS. Like, you get a PC gamer walk in, they'll laugh at you, man. You know what I mean? They'll laugh at you.
I have my own opinion.
240.
Yeah, but I have my own opinion. So because when we I compared all the PlayStation 5 games, or most of them, Ratchet and Clank, God of War, was just recently released, in regards of graphic fidelity. And yes, the only difference what I can tell you is actually in regards of frame rate, in regards of graphic fidelity, because the game comes from the PlayStation 5. There's not much of a difference. Yes, you have a higher resolution, but this comes with a price. Again, you pay more for your graphic card than the whole PlayStation. So, and even I proved actually on the Ratchet and Clank has still the bug on where if you play with very high textures, you have stuttering issues, because I don't know why. And the thing is, you need to reduce then this setting to have a very smooth gameplay, and then you actually below the texture setting from the PlayStation 5. So just because we have PC doesn't mean we have always a better quality, okay? If a game like Cyberpunk, don't get me wrong, we will never see the quality what Cyberpunk can do on a PC on a console, because it's not powerful enough.
Yeah,
that's how it is.
That's a CPU issue, though, isn't it? Because of just the NPCs and so much stuff going on in the world. It's just not enough. It's not enough everything, I guess. That is such a demanding game.
It depends where we're looking at. If you put all the mods where you have 8K textures and whatsoever and whatever, then we're talking about you need a 6090 probably to have 24 FPS. Yeah. But yeah, it can be CPU, GPU.
This is a really good question, and this is a question. I've kind of discussed with a lot of people. So the question is, for those that are listening, how long should a new TV last for you guys? So you go out to the shop this year, you buy a new TV, you get what you want, whether it's a QD OLED or an LG OLED. How long do you keep that, Marcus? Let's just say when you're not a YouTuber, okay, because obviously you have an excuse to go buy a new one every year, so you can kind of stay relevant and you got stuff to talk about.
That is my life.
So let's just say you're talking to a friend who's just a console gamer. He just got a PS5 Pro. He bought a new TV. He's like, "Hey, Marcus, can you tell me when I should upgrade my TV?"
It's not. I can't answer this question because it depends on you. You know what I mean? How long is your car last? You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Because I know some people who keep their car for 5 to 10 years.
25, or 25 years.
I like to change my car every 2 years. That's just because I love cars and I enjoy driving them, and I like to change the experience. So that's actually a very valid point.
But if you may be asking so the time that we are now in a time where everything gets replaced when it's faulty. I come from my parents as well. When they bought a washing machine, This washing machine is still running after 30 years. Their times are already long gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
long gone, you know. So, but it should at least 10 years minimum before anything breaks down, in my opinion, because otherwise it's scrapped, to be very honest. But 10 years for technology is very long.
Look, I've said this earlier in the stream. I've got my C1 and I've got this G4 at the moment, man. If my TV didn't break, I wouldn't have got the G4, man. My C1 still smokes. So look, if you've got, say, a C10 or a C1 and you really want to upgrade, I haven't personally had hands on a QD OLED panel, but everyone is just raving about them. So if you were to upgrade, you'd probably have to go to a better technology, which is QD OLED. But if you've got an OLED, man, like that thing can easily last you till it like 5-8 years until it falls apart. You know what I mean? I'll just run that thing into the ground. I can't see anything coming out in the next 3 years that would go, I have to upgrade my C1. Do you disagree, Marcus? Like when they were talking about micro LED, you know, if that, I don't think that's coming to market now. They just couldn't get it cheap enough for consumers. But if that thing was coming out, man, maybe that's the go. You know, best of both worlds. But yeah, I don't think upgrading, unless you're right into it.
No, I mean, the reason I'm upgrading is because I like to have the latest stuff, you know. But that's not because. But I'm a nerd. Full stop. I'm a nerd, and that's fine with me, you know what I mean. But if you're just a normal human being and not like crazy we are, you know, then there's no point to upgrade every time. Because I mean, look, the problem is anyway, you know, I would like to upgrade even more often, but I can't afford it. Full stop. I can't do it. You know, so that's why. But maybe I'm getting the G4 by end of the year. Let's see. Here, XPLCT CNT. I don't even know. This is a cool nickname. I don't know what it stands for, but he is asking actually if the PlayStation 5 Pro is now the KO for the Xbox.
No. I think the PS5 was. I think the PS5 just in general was the KO for the Xbox.
Yeah,
the Pro doesn't affect that. Look, I'm an Xbox guy, man. No. I'm all Xbox, but
no, I like to disagree with you. So Xbox is on their own KO. What they're doing right now, PlayStation wouldn't exist. Xbox wouldn't sell more consoles. I'm pretty sure about that. It's not good what Xbox is doing. And look, I made it very clear in one video that I think the hardware and the Xbox software and stuff like that, what they improve, what they're implementing features is much better than PlayStation 5. It is, in my opinion.
Look, in my opinion, I have a friend who's a PlayStation guy. I'm an Xbox guy, and we always battle like which console we're going to buy the game on so we can play, you know, on what platform. But you know, when you hear these people like Xbox sucks, PlayStation's the best, like, it's cool, get behind it. But the thing is, you need to realize if PlayStation gets too much control and too much power, which they are doing now, it's not good because there's no competition. They can increase the prices. There's nothing we can do. There's no competition. So it's
Nintendo is no competition. Okay, it's a complete different world. Okay,
they're just in a different lane altogether. So like you do want to try and like it's even going all digital as much as it's so much more convenient, easier, faster. Then once they start making the disk drives disappear, then they've got us, you know, they've got us by the twins down the bottom, man. And
absolutely.
They control the prices, and you don't like it, man. Cool.
So people don't understand this, you know. I get so mad actually when people say, "Oh, finally we're getting just digital." So I mean, don't get me wrong. So Steam. But what would you do if Steam now suddenly say, "Oh, you know, it would not happen." But if they're turning off all the servers, you have nothing. You have literally nothing. If they decided to, you don't own it. You as long you have access to it, you can play it. If they decide you don't need access anymore because whatever you have done, you know what I mean? Maybe whatever, you know, that's it, you know. And the physical copy you can sell later on. Okay. And you need to think about this as well. You know, I'm selling my old games to get new games. You know, digital it's not possible.
Look, I think there was a thing recently. Sony had some uproar where they had some digital content purchases like movies and TV shows on their PlayStation store, and they lost the license with whoever they were selling the movies through. And all these people who purchased movies on their PlayStation basically lost access to that content that they paid for and didn't receive any refunds. I may have a few details wrong, but essentially that the principle is on point. Like, so you have to think about those type of things. So yeah, it's a bit scary, to be honest. So you don't want anyone to have too much power, because then monopolies are never good.
Yeah. That's why I if Xbox brings out a new console, I will buy Xbox as well. If PlayStation 6 comes out, I buy PlayStation. I'm a gamer. I don't care about brands, to be very honest. You know what I mean? I'd like to answer this one here. Christy, guys, what do you think about VRR flickering and OLEDs? I love OLEDs. I have 3 of them in the house, but in my opinion, it's a big issue. Not enough people talk about this problem. So first of all, I like to say it's not just an OLED problem, okay? It's a screen problem, okay? A monitor screen problem. It's not just for OLED, okay? So LCD also have the VRR flickering issue. The problem with this one is the same probably what we have seen back then in the days when you had 50 hertz CRTs and 100 hertz CRTs. Some people, they couldn't see the difference between 50 and 100 hertz. I was clearly able to tell which one is a 50 and 100 hertz screen. Maybe you are more, what is the right word for this? Maybe you see it much easier than other people. I can tell you games where you can spot it very simple or easy. Gears 5, for an example, what was the other? I made a video about this. Can't remember the game, where it is heavily flickering. But the problem is not because of VRR. The problem is because the frame rate jumps up and down like crazy, and the TV can't keep up. It's just trying to do something. That's why it's flickering. But yeah, it can be an issue if you see it very easily.
I like this comment. So Heatwave PS5 just put a comment in saying, my opinion, no point buying a new TV. Save cash and buy last year's model. I think that's a really smart comment, man. You know, at the end of so there are a few things, but particularly with OLEDs, I've found in the past, I've tried to purchase an OLED at the very end of the year when the refresh is coming. Obviously, you get the lowest prices. 1 year I held out a little bit too long and I missed out. So when OLEDs run out, they kind of just run out. And I just, from my experience, I could be wrong, I don't think there's just a lot of stock kind of sitting on the shelves like LCDs. LCDs are a lot cheaper, mass produced. There's always heaps sitting around. But yeah, man, when they started announcing the 2025 TVs and, you know, early next year, yeah, start saving your pennies and get like a G4 or something like that. And if you can probably get it considerably cheaper than what it cost when it first came out. And man, that G4 will last. So yeah, great comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. You know, I agree. You know, if you don't need the latest stuff, you know, you save a lot of money.
This comment, nice.
C9, yeah, absolutely. Keep it, you know.
Yeah, Faya says, I still have my LG C9 OLED. Man, sick TV. No need to upgrade. It does 4K 120, HDR. I even think that panel, the C9, was slightly brighter than the C10, but I think they dialed it back due to some burn-in issues. But if that panel's still surviving, like, how good is that? That's another thing. It's like you're looking at these other brands like Sony, they can't even get HDMI 2.1 right. They still have 2 out of the 4 HDMI inputs.
Yeah, that
can't do 4K. Man, LG back in, I don't even know what C series, what number it was, but I know C9 for a fact had 4K 120, and that's like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? That just shows you how in front of the curve they were.
So Christy is right with this one. The problem is we're already upscaling from a very low resolution in PlayStation 5 for example, 860p Alan Wake 60 FPS mode. Yeah, it's a terrible picture quality on console Alan Wake 2. Okay, fantastic game, but the consoles are not powerful enough. And FSR, we know it's not the best. You know, I'm expecting, because now the Pro using something new, PSSR. Hopefully it is on the same level as DLSS, which DLSS is smoking FSR every day. That's in picture quality. That's how it is, unfortunately. And I hope that the Pro will deliver something similar, because then it is not entirely about native resolution. It is just about how good you actually upscale,
Yeah. Look, no problem with that comment, man. Like, makes a lot of sense. The only thing is, when I start seeing too many buzzwords, I get skeptical. So once people get it in hands and we start seeing it get into the wild, and it's like, oh, we're getting AI upscaling and we're getting PSSR or whatever it is, it's like, man, too many buzzwords. Like, I want to see the results, but like, fingers crossed that it actually is a substantial upgrade.
I ordered the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I will tell you.
Yeah. So next question is Rugakus. What do you guys think about Dolby Vision? Is it a must-have for people new to OLED TVs? Marcus.
In regards of movies and stuff like that, Netflix is having a lot of Dolby Vision stuff. Yes, it's okay. But if you now think about gaming, it's not a must-have at all. Just forget about this. It's dead. Dolby Vision gaming is dead. It was never alive, and it will be never alive probably, because they missed out big, in my opinion. This was one of the big chances from Xbox, to make it better, HDR gaming, but it's just terrible.
Yeah. Look, I feel like if Samsung got on board with the Dolby Vision, I feel like they would probably sell more TVs. Me personally, I consume a lot of movies and content, and I just feel like I'm missing out if I don't see Dolby Vision. If you have a Netflix subscription, most of their high-end premium content is all in Dolby Vision. So it's hard not to feel like you're missing out. But in terms of gaming, I pretty much turn it off. I find it too dim, and I just use HDR10. So look, if you're into movies and stuff, like, I think it's cool to have, but it's only cool to have if you have a TV that's going to show it correctly. I've seen heaps of low-end LCD TVs that have the Dolby Vision logo. It doesn't look like it's like Dolby Vision. If you've got a modern OLED, then if you are buying a modern OLED, then I think it's a cool little thing to have.
Yeah. So I think that's the same guy from last time.
Yeah.
Just Ariel can speak. But I think, thank you very much, and I think I don't think that GTA 6 will run in 4K 60 on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't even think it will run in 60 on the PlayStation 5 Pro, but I hope at least maybe we have a 40 FPS mode. And yes, go for the S95D if you like it, go for it. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Cypher. Samsung QD OLED, also the Samsung TVs in general, specifically has an elite motion handling for gaming called Game Motion Plus. It is, if you haven't experienced this, and I was, thanks to Ariel, actually, Plasma TV for gaming, I came into this motion handling stuff because I was happy. As always, you're happy, and then something new comes up and you're not happy anymore. But I tested then True Motion on the LG, and then I tested then Game Motion Plus on my S95C, and I was just, wow, this is so much better, unbelievable. Never going back to the LG. Never going back to it. I'm sorry, but yeah. Oh, sorry, I pressed.
That's okay. This one's for you, Marcus. So, questions: are frame rate fidelity issues solely down to hardware/TV, or are game developers as much responsible for picture quality issues? Marcus.
They are the only one responsible for the picture quality, in my opinion. Because, just correct me if I'm wrong, but when we started playing so PlayStation 1 is probably a complete different story, but PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, can you remember that we had on the PlayStation 3 blurry pictures like we have nowadays? I don't think so. We had, of course, crappy TVs or CRT TVs, let's say like this. They have actually a really good resolution. They display the picture exactly how it comes from the TV, from the source, okay? So they're really, really good, okay? But I can't remember that I had so many issues with a blurry picture or shimmering and stuff like that. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We had crappy games with crappy graphics. But when we're talking about Uncharted games like that, or God of War back then, they had a really great picture quality. Or am I wrong? And nowadays, because they're putting all this fidelity more and more stuff, ray tracing, the GPU can't keep up anymore. We need to soften the picture. We need to upscale here. We need to do this. And at the end, you have a crappy picture. That's my...
Yeah.
They're responsible. It's not the TV at all. The TV is just displaying whatever you're delivering. We have another super chat. Let me bring up this first.
Sure.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you very much. So that's for you, Adam.
Chad. So yeah, Adam talked last time about dead pixels on his C1. Yes, I did. Had a closer look at my CX or C10, however you refer to it. Saw hundreds along the top and left edge of my screen. Warranty expires May 2025. Close call. Thanks. Hey man, yeah, no problem. With the C10, I don't see, the thing is with the C series, I don't think LG kind of treats them like, I know they treat the G series as like their first class citizens, because I have a 77-inch G1 in my bedroom, and I remember, I think that was the first year they came out, that was with the OLED Evo panel with the extra brightness, and I remember there was like a 5-year panel warranty or something on it like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves. So with the C10, I don't know how they treat the warranty like that, but Chad, I'd love for you to elaborate further on that. Don't do another super chat. Thank you so much for that comment, but I'd love to find out, did you get warranty? What happened when you called up? So if you could let us know, I'd love to follow up on that comment. But yeah, man, if I help, that's why we're here, man. So great.
It's exactly where I have the issues on my CX. Million of pixels missing, pixel lines are missing. It's very hard to spot, of course, from a distance, but very obvious when you look for it. Absolutely terrible. And I'm not sure if it's getting worse or whatever, but this very similar to what I experienced.
If you could also include the amount of hours you have on your panel, I'm just curious to know, because
I need to check.
Because with my
it's
C1,
running
go ahead,
almost every day for several hours, the CX.
Yeah, my C1 that had the dead pixels was in another lounge room in my house that we don't use very often, and that only had 322 hours on it. I think I mentioned it earlier. That's absolutely nothing, man. Do you know what I mean? So for me, getting dead pixels on that, I was, like I said, I got extended warranty, so I was kind of happy. But yeah, let us know in the comments, man. That's that's awesome. So that's great. We managed to save you there.
I'm just going through. We have so many more. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Kay Jones said, my LG C1 looks amazing. I'm not even pressured to get a PS5 Pro yet. I'm still very much enjoying the original PlayStation 5.
Absolutely.
It's what I've been singing, man. The guy's got a good TV. He's got a PS5. Like, for you to upgrade your TV and or PlayStation, you're getting to a point of diminishing returns. So you're paying, a lot of money for a little bit of an increase. That's how I kind of see it. It's just diminishing returns.
I hope Gaming Tech's PSU can handle the 5090. I put 1200 watts PSU in my, so it should, hopefully it's enough 1200 watts. I hope so. It should be.
So this one's for Marcus. So a TV with 120 hertz support and VRR and PS5 Pro could easily keep 60 frames per second. Does variable refresh rate support on TV change something for the PS5 Pro for performance? What do you guys think?
Okay, so I need to TV with 120 hertz support in VRR and could easily keep. So I mean, look, it depends on the game. You can have a chess game and it just runs in 30 FPS because you have, I don't know what ray tracing effects. Okay, so even the PlayStation 2 had 60 FPS games. It's not about the hardware, it's about the software. So, and does VR support on TV change something for PlayStation 5 Pro performance? No. Because the VRR is the same on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, the only thing VRR does, let's just say you go from a TV without VRR to VRR. The only thing VRR will kind of do is it will give you a slightly better image simply because you're going to get less. All it does is kind of remove the tearing. So where you would get frame rate and hertz mismatches, VRR will basically allow you to maintain consistency. So if the performance of the console stays the same, VRR will essentially just mitigate the tearing. So you'll get a slightly smoother experience due to less tearing. That's how I would perceive it. Marcus, you look like you disagree.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Cool. Prove me wrong, man.
So first of all, so VRR is for me very essential actually in games. So what VRR is actually doing, it will. So what the TV is then doing is instead of having a fixed refresh rate, you have now a verbal refresh rate. Okay. So that means if the game outputs 72 FPS, your refresh rate on the TV is also 72 hertz at this very moment. And what is happening then? You don't have any chuttering, any stuttering. Okay. So tearing actually gets mitigated or already resolved by Vsync. Okay. So Vsync, you turn on Vsync, you have no tearing anymore, but you have a lot of stuttering. Okay. If the frame rate doesn't match your refresh rate. VRR is really just to match the refresh rate to the FPS what comes. That's literally it is. And you get a much smoother experience, in my opinion. Yeah. But the higher the frame rate, always better. Okay.
I'm just trying to chase up Chad's comment to see. Can you see a follow-up from that super chat? I can't see it.
Oh my God, there's so many. I have to say thank you very much for all this great contribution in the chats. It's absolutely fantastic, you know.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. We really do. Yeah, Jesus, quite a lot of comments. Keep them coming, guys. So we're probably gonna answer a few more questions for the tail end of this stream. So keep them coming.
He sold his Xbox Series X and ordered the new PlayStation 5 Pro. About 2 weeks later, gonna sell my PlayStation 5 day one buy.
Why?
So I'm not going to sell my PlayStation 5 because I'm looking forward to comparing all the games. Heaps of videos coming, unbelievable. You know, so much work. I need to quit my job. Really, should do this. Anyway, but
This is a great question from Azri. So, question: what I guess he's supposed to say, what is superior to OLED? Is OLED an end game technology? Look,
at the moment, yes.
Yeah, in my opinion,
but because there's nothing else.
there's nothing really on the horizon that I can see for the next 5 to 10 years. Even like obviously there's commercial displays, you know, that cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. But anything in terms of a consumer based technology, the way that OLEDs are performing, like I was thinking about it the other day, man, imagine if we could Frankenstein a Samsung QD OLED with MLA technology, and it'll just be like, man, that's pretty much it. Pack your bags. So yeah, I just don't think there's anything, at least on the horizon, that's going to beat OLED. Oh, Chad, thank you once again for the super chat. That's really cool. You didn't have to do that. But so just to follow up on his original super chat, I think after 3 years you can get the LG panel replaced, but have to pay a labor fee of a few $100s. Man, that's fantastic. What a fantastic result. So if my comment on the last live stream like managed to get you a new panel, as I said, I was curious to know your hours, but I would imagine a TV that old would have quite a lot of hours on it. And if it's a new panel, you'll probably notice it's a bit brighter, because as the OLEDs do their compensation cycles, the panel does slowly dim over time.
Yeah.
So, what a fantastic result. That's unreal, Chad. Congrats.
So you know that LG actually tried to void my warranty on my LG G2 when I complained about the line.
Yeah,
you know, because because there is apparently no 5-year warranty in Australia for the panel for the G4.
Wow,
it's just a normal consumer law warranty. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But the TV is 1.5 years old. I paid $5,200. I see what the consumer law is thinking about that. And then I got my panel replaced. Because it can't be like that. You buy a high-end TV, and then after 1.5 years, say no, it's not warranted. I say no.
Yeah. Capono, hope I say that correctly. My C9 is still on the wall, but I feel like that a G4 is an upgrade. Probably
I would say yes. Yeah. I would say yes. Yeah. For, not just in the regards of, you're getting 1,500 nits maximum peak brightness compared to 900, let's say 1,000 nits if you're lucky with the C9. And that's not the biggest upgrade what I think, but all the features what you get in terms of the new HDRG features, the dynamic tone mapping options, wow, this is probably, if you use this kind of stuff, yes, then
yeah. Look, man, if you can still keep the C9 and just delegate it to a bedroom or something like that, but if you are looking to upgrade, then I think you will see an upgrade from a C9. But man, C9's still good. If you don't need to upgrade, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, you're never late. All good. Thanks for joining.
I'll jump in here. So Heatwave PS5 Pro crazy can do 8K 60 on some racing games. Is that correct? I don't.
Yeah, they're advertising Gran Turismo 7 with 8K. But to be very honest, who needs this? To be very honest, focus on a proper 4K native resolution with good graphics if you have stuff left. No one needs 8K at this point.
I feel like at this point, I'm almost saying it on every live stream, but I had an 8K Samsung Neo QLED, and when I brought home my shiny PS5, on the box in the top corner, it had a beautiful 8K logo. And I was like, oh man, finally I've got something that I can use on my 8K TV. Got the cable, plugged it in. No 8K resolution options. There were no games. There was nothing. I was like, how is this even legal? They're advertising. It was false advertising. They were advertising a console that wasn't doing what it had on the box. So I think they can shove 8K very far up the nearest hole, in my opinion.
So let me answer this. Upgrading from the CX to the C4, it's not worse, in my opinion. The C4 is having 1000 nits as the G2. That's the only improvement. You have the new features, of course, gaming stuff like that, but it's not worth the money, to be very honest. So if you have money to spend, then I would go to the G4 then. That's a more significant upgrade. But LG CX to C4, no. To be very honest, no. Not in my opinion.
And wait till early next year until the price hits rock bottom.
Yeah.
Here's a good one for you, Marcus.
Sorry. Now you go.
Kay Jones said, I only see artifacts on my OLED when watching movies. Games are fine. I wish the movie industry would make movies with higher refresh rates. Would that solve movies with fast scenes looking jittery? Before I let Marcus, you jump in, I believe there was a movie that was released in 60 FPS and everyone hated it. I'll try to figure out what it is while Marcus is talking.
So was it also not The Hobbits? Was 48 hertz?
I'm not sure.
The Hobbits back then. So look, the thing is with movies compared to games, you don't need to do anything with movies. You just watch. Okay, it's annoying to have 24 FPS stuttering from Blu-rays and stuff like that. But you don't need to have you don't have any control over this. You know, you're not having any input to the movie. Okay, so you're not controlling something. So it really doesn't bother me too much. But yes, if you would have a higher refresh rate, of course, then it would mitigate the jittery. But the problem also, what you most likely see is that I'm not sure what TV you're using. So usually, and Netflix and all the apps are very bad with this stuff. Usually you have original Blu-ray movies in 24 FPS. That's the usual. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're still recording this with 24 FPS cinema look, which looks okay. But then you play the same movie on Netflix, and it's actually upscaled to or upscaled to 60 hertz, and then you get this thing produced on your screen, and you have twice or three times the stuttering from the original one. Very bad, you know.
Just looking at the list here, there is a bunch of movies like Gemini Man in 2018. That's in 120 FPS. I think the Blu-ray was rendered at 24. That's probably due to like a size restriction on the disc. Says the Blu-ray was rendered at 60 FPS, but then there's a bunch of them like Avatar Way of the Water that was in 48 FPS. And anyway, list goes on. So yeah, check them out see how they go on your TV.
I mean, usually, so the problem, so you can actually also use maybe something like smooth gradation or whatever you call this
smooth gradation. That's more for the color blending, isn't it? Smooth gradation.
No, that's not the right word. You know, where you can get rid of the cinema look. You have the soap opera look then, which I hate. I hate because it so that's something what you can try, but I don't like it at all. If you have native 60 hertz actually, and you're doing it correctly, I can't understand why this would look bad. I don't.
Yeah, I think the reason they do most movies in, I think it's 30 or 24 FPS is just because that's what we're used to. You know, I feel like it's like anything. If you watch enough movies in 60 FPS and once you get used to it, you go back to 24 and you'll go, what the hell am I watching? It feels like a picture book with someone flicking the pages. Yeah, it's a bit unusual, but
Exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Is C4 brighter than C2, C3 and a worse upgrade or just get QD OLED? No, it's not worse. You have a slightly higher peak brightness. I would QD OLED is an upgrade, yeah. But no, don't do this. Don't go from a C1 or CX or C2 or whatever or don't go from a C2 to a C3. It doesn't make any sense. Not at all, unless you like to spend money.
Yeah. Just letting everyone know, thank you so much for all your comments and questions. We really appreciate it. It's the only reason we've stayed here so long. So we've probably got about 15 minutes left before we wrap up.
2 hours is the maximum what we like to do. Even I enjoyed this today, but at some point.
Great conversation. Yeah. So guys, any questions, please throw them in. We'll try to get to a bunch of them now before we wrap up. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone participating tonight.
Yeah. So that's of course he's right. You know, but I remember this. You know, I played PlayStation 3 games on my plasma TV or whatever, and they were absolutely fantastic looking. And there was, of course, you had slightly shimmering. But remember Horizon Forbidden West? You know, on the PlayStation 5 when it was released, the performance mode, how ugly it was, and almost no one was talking about it because can't be. You know, oh my God! But it got worse with the picture quality, in my opinion.
Here's one. So Duckney FOLED will be superior version of OLED. So I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. I have a very elementary understanding about this, but the composition of each pixel in the OLED, so you have the RGB or WRGB pixel structure. When they're saying FOLED, they're referring to, I believe, the phosphorescent blue OLED subpixel. So at this stage, I believe the red and green subpixels in OLEDs are using phosphorescent. The blue is not. I think I touched on that with FOMO last week, and I was asking if they can nail. I believe there's a bit of instability with the blue phosphorescent subpixel. And which can lead to burn-in and a lot of issues, which is why it hasn't hit the mainstream. And I was asking him if they can get that blue subpixel working with phosphorescent blue, can they remove the white subpixel and then just go to a straight up RGB panel? Like I was saying, can that kind of compete with QD OLED? But I just don't know if that's going to hit.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if that's actually going to come to market. They've been talking about phosphorescent blue for quite a long time, and then every time I think it's going to come out, it just gets pushed back. So, man, it could be. Who knows? Like, I think QD OLED's kind of got the edge at the moment. They've just done really well with that technology.
Absolutely. I just hope that the next QD OLED from Samsung will have a better panel reflection handling or because
and MLA. Wouldn't that be nice if LG
you don't need MLA, so don't put MLA on top, because then you have again it's not QD OLED doesn't need this.
Sure, it's quite bright.
It's built in.
Yeah.
It's built in, and it's just and I like to I can't stress this enough. It's not just because the S95D is brighter than my G2, which I can clearly see. It's the picture, the panel clarity, the panel, I don't know, it's just so clean compared to all the.
Isn't it due to the pixel structure? Wasn't there issues with text not being super?
When you have very fine text, you can. So what you have is actually fringe. You can, because the other pixel needs to display. So if the text is very, you have let's say a letter coming over a couple of pixels, or subpixels. So then you can have this color fringing on the edge. But believe me, if you play games where you have this type of text, you can't see anything. And no, it's just so much better.
Yeah. AS asking the question, I have a fairly old Samsung TV for many years. I have never had an OLED. I would like to buy a new TV for gaming. Do you recommend any brand in particular around 1900 euros? LG. Marcus?
LG, yeah, go for LG. It's the best around package, to be honest.
Yeah. I think
You
it's
have
more
no
gamer
problems with,
friendly too.
yeah. You have never problem, or you most likely never problem with firmware updates. You know, Samsung learned their lesson, I have to say, but you never know. LG, there was just one incident back then which they fixed very, very quickly. That's just good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also had a lot more. I've had a lot of better experience with LG TVs. I always go on about the HDMI CEC protocol. I just find LG just knows how to talk CEC a lot better. So I just find they're a little bit more gamer friendly. Heatwave PS5 said, we need more games using HDR10 and Unreal Engine 5, a beast of an engine.
Yeah, but I have to say something. So any Unreal Engine 5, so not, but most of the Unreal Engine 5 games what I've found that don't have HDR10 at all. Wukong is a Unreal Engine 5 game, correct?
I think so. Yeah,
doesn't have HDR. It's not the only one. So I don't know what's going on with that, to be honest. But you know, Fortnite also doesn't have HDR.
Yeah. Face23 BKNY, thank you for the super chat. More of a question than a statement, but his statement was QD OLED is only better than an OLED in color gamut. Marcus?
No. I mean, look, no, because of you don't need all the layers on the screen, or you have just the picture because of how QD OLED is built actually in terms of the layers. You know, you don't need to have a MLA layer now suddenly, you know, on the screen to make the pixel even more brighter. You know, which leads to which leads again to a picture when you strafe around, or when you watch, let's say, soccer or ice hockey or something like that. You know, you can see dirty screen effects on the LG OLED TVs. Very minor, of course, compared to LCD screens. But believe me, on the QD OLED, you don't have anything like that. And it's not just about the color gamut. It's also about they can be much brighter in general. That's how it is. And they can keep their colors much better. So
two
QD
questions.
OLED
Sorry, Marcus, go ahead. QD OLED.
Oh, no, go.
Two questions that are very similar. Syntax, what is the best TV for gaming? And the Latin Vamp, what is better for gaming, Samsung or LG? I think we kind of touched on that before. I'm going to say LG is better for gaming. One other thing you will get with an LG, not that it really matters, but you do get Dolby Vision for gaming if you're an Xbox guy. Does PlayStation have Dolby Vision for gaming? I don't think they do they?
Sorry, what?
Does PlayStation have Dolby Vision for gaming? Yeah, it doesn't. So
No.
if you've got an Xbox, man, you know, that's another reason to go LG. It's just something you can say you've got, but still prefer an LG.
Look, it's again, I play on my S95C because I like the panel better, but LG has the better features when it comes to gaming. So in terms of the FTDA settings, you know, the fine-tuned dark area settings, they can be very helpful. But on the other hand, you have the Game Motion Plus on the Samsung, which is it's hard. Yeah. Samsung LG, it's fantastic. Go for it. Whatever you choose.
Pretty much, if someone dropped either one of them on your front doorstep, you will be over the moon. So get whichever one's cheaper. How about that? All right. So just getting to the end of the live stream, guys. We're just trying to wrap up the last few questions. So question. Here we go for Marcus. So a very important question from existing OLED owners. At what point, how much usage time should the TV be replaced with a new one? As we know, OLED's brightness reduces over time, burn-in, pixel refresh. So for those of you that don't know, what he's referring to, or she, is OLED TVs have something called a compensation cycle. So as the TV is used, because it's an OLED, O stands for organic, it's a perishable thing. So it does wear out over time. And unfortunately, because of the way TVs are designed, then not everything is equal. So they wear out differently at different speeds and in different places. So the TV does something called a compensation cycle, which essentially wears out the entire TV, tries to even it out. So in order to have the panel looking consistent, it'll wear the whole panel down, and eventually the panel will slowly dim and lose its brightness. So maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I think that's put simply pretty much what happens. So in terms of the other guy, Chad, who was mentioning before, he's getting his C10 replaced. As I mentioned, you will probably notice a brightness bump if it's a new panel. So in relation to the question, oh, geez, I don't know how many hours. What would you? I haven't had an OLED for long enough to say how long it would be.
I don't
You've
know.
got a C10. You tell me.
And the problem is always, if you're watching your TV the whole time, you probably not even notice that something changing. So I don't know. But again, it's very hard to tell. So maybe also check out rthings.com. They're doing long-term tests, and I think they're doing brightness testing as well. So let's have a look. Not sure.
Yeah.
Very good question.
Look, I personally don't believe it's something you need to be too concerned about. In my opinion, just enjoy the TV until it doesn't work. Like, I don't know if you saw Marcus's video where he had like a line from the bottom up through the center of the TV. Obviously, that's, you have to replace it. But, even my C1 with a few dead pixels, if I'm not looking for it, I don't see it. But like, I think, man, drive it into the ground. Like that's the best thing. So I don't think you need to replace it at any time or put it in another room. So
that's anyway. You put it in another room, yeah.
So everything PS5 Pro, True Motion on LG C4 is faster than Game Motion Plus on Samsung with some tricks in the hidden menus. I can't comment to that. Can you, Marcus?
Some faster in regards of what?
Yeah, so he's saying True Motion is faster than Game Motion Plus. Isn't it all the same thing?
No. So in regards of you get a sharper picture with True Motion on the LG TVs compared to the Game Motion Plus on Samsung. That's what I experienced. But the input lag it's not playable with True Motion on the LG TVs, in my opinion. Not at all. But there's no problem with the input lag with Game Motion Plus on the Samsung TVs.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Probably got one or two more questions before we wrap the live stream up. So Crimson wrote, is a Sony OLED A80K any good for a PS5 Pro? Look, I haven't owned any of the modern Sony OLEDs. I don't feel, from what I've seen, what I've read, and what I understand, that Sony are the best games for TVs. Sony is kind of known to be the best TV for content consumption. Hands down, they always seem to win every year whenever there's a TV shootout. If you're looking for a gaming TV, I think you can't go past an LG or a Samsung. But look, at the end of the day, it's still going to perform well. Like you're still getting a 98% top tier TV. You know what I mean? We're splitting hairs like the top 1 or 2%. So yeah.
Yeah, so if you already own the OLED A80K, then go for it. It's already an OLED. There was another one.
This one, pixel burn-in. Yep. Asri, question: how many hours before pixel burning? Do you have any experience to pixel burning, Marcus?
No. So first of all, I don't have any burn-in, or also not even close image retention, which is the before actually burn-in happens, And I made actually one video where I forgot actually to turn off my TV, and it was for 5, 6, 7 hours with my logo, with my old logo, which is red and green. And then I did I left this and I put a gray picture on, and I couldn't see anything. So there is don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there is no issue with OLED and burn-in, because again, when you play 24/7, 20 hours a day, that's the very same game, you will have eventually, after months, years, you will have an issue. But if you consume different content all the time, I can't see any problem.
Yeah.
And you can't say any hours. I don't know. Don't bother about this. Just use it.
I don't think burn-in for any modern OLED is an issue anymore. I did say that earlier, but look, I know people that have OLEDs and didn't even know they had any kind of issues until they started running test patterns on it, and then once they saw it, they couldn't unsee it. So
Yeah.
don't go looking for. It's like pixels. Like I went looking in the corner of my C1 to find some pixels. I found them. Did I notice them before? No. The only reason I noticed them was because I was doing something behind the TV and my face was right up against it. So it's like it's one of those things. Yeah, not an
No,
issue.
don't. That's also my last advice for this live stream. Don't look for things. Don't do this. Just enjoy your TV, okay?
That's a lesson, a big lesson I learned in life, and it doesn't come. It's not just to TVs; it's with everything. Sometimes when you go looking for information, be prepared to not like what you're going to find.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better to not look for something. So, look, I think we're probably at the end of it. I'll finish up with one more, Marcus. Jorge said LG G4 or Samsung S95D. So he didn't specify gaming or movies. If you're just if you're a generalist, see the S95D, that's the one with the weird coating on the TV, the matte finish.
Yeah,
is it? Or
which is in a brighter room or whatever, it has a disadvantage in my opinion. I would go for the G4.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I've never had a QD OLED, so I would say S95D because you didn't specify gaming, and I'm super pumped to try and get a QD OLED. So at the end of the day, I think either one you're going to be happy, but I do feel the S95D is a little bit controversial because we're so used to OLEDs having these real glossy, super deep black displays, and it is something that's departed from the norm. So in terms of that, I would say you have to go to a store and look at an S95D first. But aside from that, any other OLED, you'll be fine with. But cool. I think that's probably enough. We've been here for 2 hours. I'd like to say,
fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much. We've had quite often over 100 people watching us at our streams, and that just motivates us to do these more. So Marcus and I have been trying to make this a regular thing. So the fact that you guys are showing up and you're a part of this stream, like that's super complimentary, and we're really flattered. And just want to say thank you guys so much for being a part of the live stream. And I really love answering these questions. I actually have a blast. So yeah, thank you from my end. And Marcus, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thanks again, and sorry that we couldn't bring all the comments up, and maybe we missed one or two, I'm sorry for that, but just join next time and ask again, no worries at all. We try to do this every Wednesday, same time, around 6:30, 7 p.m., but probably the same time, 7 p.m. is fine for me. And we just keep it there. That's good.
Also, I've noticed before we launch the stream, there's quite a lot of comments and questions ahead of time. So we actually do see them. So if you have any questions you would like us to tackle in the next live stream, feel free to jump in a little bit earlier and just put a queue at the beginning, and we'll make sure we cover them. So thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it. And we're going to continue to do this. So until next time.
Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye.
See you.